This video is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon. Hi guys, I'm here with a video showing you how I made the mask for my Raven cosplay. Unfortunately though, for some reason the entire building process, like all my early clips of this build are just gone and I have no idea what happened to them. I think the files were either corrupt or accidentally got deleted, and I don't know how to find them or get them back. So I'm sorry that there is a big missing section. I'm just going to try to go over it as quickly as I can. So to make this mask, I made a base layer of foam, which was just a shell that fits around my entire face, and that is included in the pattern. It's the base layer in the pattern, and it has like no holes. It's just a big round circle that goes around your face, and that's it. Then on that, I layered 2mm and 4mm EVA foam layers, and that's all the details that you can actually see from the front of the mask that you can see here when I'm holding it, so that the mask is actually facing the camera. And yeah, I just looked at a reference photo to figure out the placement for these. So like I placed all the layers that are on the underside down first, which was like the chin and a section of the cheeks. And then I layered another section of the cheeks on top of that, and then that top like crown, like middle section on the top of the head, like that was the very last thing that I glued on because that's one of the very top layers. And then the 2mm foam is all the colorful foam, and that's the foam that I used for like the smaller details, the details that just need to be slightly raised, and that's pretty much just the blue foam. Everything else is 4mm. Basically, when gluing these on, you just want to look at a reference photo to make sure that you're placing everything in the place that it should be. For this little grooved out section that you see here, I used a box cutter, cut slightly through the foam, and then opened it up with a heat gun. And what you saw me doing earlier, which was the beginning part of this video, was I was just cutting off the excess foam that was left over from the base layer, since the base layer was just a giant circle. So I was cutting out the eye holes, and I was cutting out the pieces around the edges so that it was nice and even and had all the cutouts that it should have with the rest of the pieces. And then some of the pieces have like a very, very bottom layer, and I accidentally cut out the base layer from those sections and then realized, oh wait, that's not supposed to be open. So I just went through and I glued a little slab of excess foam underneath that, and that fixed up that problem. Once everything was glued on and the excess foam was cut off, I dremeled around all of the edges to sand everything down and make it all nice and smooth, and then did about 7 layers of wood glue to prime it to get it ready for painting, which is what you see me doing here. So I started off trying to paint it with a white acrylic paint, but it just wasn't getting opaque enough no matter how many layers I added. So I eventually bought spray paint and just sprayed a couple layers of white spray paint on, and that did the trick. For some reason, glossy white acrylic paint just never gets opaque enough, and you can always still see the color through it no matter how many layers you add. And it was just starting to take too long. That's why I gave up and I switched to spray paint. Just a bit ago I said that the blue foam was the only 2mm foam, and then I remembered that I had actually layered some pieces of 2mm foams together to equal 4mm in like width or thickness, and I forgot that I did that. So there's some blue pieces that aren't 2mm foam. Basically the only 2mm foam spot is that edging detail at the top of the mask. Once I got the base layer of white paint down, I started shading everything with black oil paint. And by shading everything, I meant I shaded around all of the edges, any place I thought a shadow would be cast or felt it needed to have a little bit more depth to it. To paint on the red details, I outlined the design on her mask with pencil first because I could actually erase that off of the spray paint. and if there was any markings left over, that was actually light enough and easy enough to cover up later with acrylic paint, although I didn't run into that problem. So anyways, after I've traced that out onto the mask, I took some red acrylic paint and just went right over that line with a very thin paintbrush and just slowly layered that and fixed up any edges if anything got a little bit too sloppy. Basically, just take your time with this and be really patient and work slowly so that your lines stay nice and neat and clean looking, and you don't accidentally mess up and get red in spots that you don't want there to be red. I don't have footage of this, but the way that this mask attaches to my face, I guess, is with an elastic band. I cut an elastic band to fit securely around my head and then glued either end to either side of the mask, just wherever it fit best. Not up too high and not down too low, just kind of right in the middle, and it just fits on my head that way and it stays in place. To finish off the mask, I added fabric on the inside of the mask where the eyes were. So the fabric's covering the eye holes, but from the inside, and this fabric that I picked is this red stretchy fabric, so when it's pulled just a tiny bit, it's a little bit sheer and you can see through it. I can see through this fabric. I wanted to make sure it was something I could see through in case I did decide to walk around with the mask on, although I never really did that. Anyways, I glued this in place using contact cement. Follow the labels on the bottle of your specific contact cement because I believe everyone's slightly different. And that's pretty much it for this video. Again, I'm so sorry that I lost the early footage. I have no idea what happened in that and I was really frustrated. Hopefully this is still helpful. Anyways, basically all you need to do to know how to piece these patterns together is look at a reference photo that's like extremely helpful and what I did to figure out how to build this mask. So I hope that plus this video helped you out somewhat. Again, sorry I lost the early footage. Thanks for watching though. I hope you have a lovely day and bye.